Spill your guts. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back. Spill Your Guts podcast with Rachel and Mandi and Jesse too. Patty Bandwagon, what's up?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're back at it again, girl. Another episode. How you doing?
Here.
We got kind of riled up last time. I'm glad you wanted to come back here with me.
I know. I get so sweaty when we do these.
Put your My Zone on next time and see how we can get your heart rate.
I really should. I noticed today was just kind of like my walk, stretch, mobility day. And I was just like stressing myself out over every little thing. And when I got on to just walk on the treadmill, I was like, oh my God, I'm already in my heart rate's at 70% just walking in here.
Seriously?
It was bad.
I shouldn't be laughing.
No, it was hilarious. I laugh at myself all the time. I'm like, well, here we are again, having a stress heart attack.
Aw. Totally relatable, which is why we're friends. Great. Good. Got it. Excellent. Well, we're back at it again, Prairie. We're just here to solve the world's problems in an hour or less. No pressure. No pressure.
And I want to tell you about this because I haven't gotten to talk to you about it. Okay. Our listeners, I think, have I talked about my passion for sound therapy before?
I feel like you have. I feel like there was an impassioned moment where you did share about your sound bowls.
Yes.
And then I got to brag about how you actually called in a storm in Sedona. That was real, you guys.
Yes.
Rachel made it rain on them hoes. She actually did.
Oh my God. I should play them for my birds.
Only if you do it on the Spill Your Guts Instagram so we can see how they respond.
Live. I'll just hang out the window and they probably won't come.
Dude, I want to know the reputation of what your neighbors think of you. You've got all the seeds and critters scattered under your window. And they're like, look, there's that weird lady banging on her sound bowls for the animals.
And because I'm with my parents right now, it's not a retirement community, but I'm definitely at 41. I think I'm still the youngest person living here.
They're like, oh, that's nice. Look at that nice hippie girl.
So they're probably and they always
Didn't you have beef with a very angry swan? Wasn't there a swan that was attacking you there?
Yes, that was the year that came up as a guide.
Yes.
For me. And
that's the joke about the swan sounding like the AOL dial-up. Oh my God, I totally forgot about that. Wait, this is important for the Spill Your Guts fandom. Okay. Who knew what the hell a swan actually sounded like? When you do you know, Jesse, that swans have a very specific sound?
No, I've never listened to a swan.
Okay, well, you want to know what it sounds like?
Sure. Just like AOL.
Basically. Okay, that felt very important as an outburst, so I'm going to go ahead and kick it back over to you, Rachel.
We've lost Rachel. Our AOL dial-up has died.
Oh, God, I'm crying. I'm laughing so hard. Well, and the swan, everyone, we were pulling cards. And everyone was getting lion, horse,
Panther, majestic warrior animals.
Magical. And I was like, swan? Ugh. And then that night we were all stargazing, howling at the moon. And I have an app, a constellation app on my phone. And it's really fun, by the way. I highly recommend, especially for kids. You go out at night. You don't even have to be out at night. And you hold it at the sky and it tells you what you're looking at.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And so I open it.
Oh, yeah. This was in...
Great. I still have the screenshot. I'll share it. Immediately above me is a swan constellation. And I lost my mind because I was like, a swan? It's not it's not Taurus or Who even knew there was a swan constellation? So then of course, swans were everywhere in my life that year. And there was one living in the pond, and it was so angry. It would chase and hiss at everyone.
Yes.
I loved it.
You did. You became very endeared to her. And I just think that's special. So thank you.
It was relatable.
Oh my God. I know.
Anywho.
Every time I get a spirit animal card, it's always something weird too. It's like, yeah, aardvark. Like, cool. Super inspired. Thanks. It's like, beetle. Like, thanks. Can I get like something majestic? Come on.
I've never gotten like I always get just some weird random one. And then
Like a wallaby.
who was it? Oh, I think it was at Ariel's retreat. Someone like pulled giraffe because we saw so many animals.
Oh yeah. Yeah, dude, that was when we had all the like weird enchanted forest.
Javelina. And whoever pulled it was like, I think it was Pint, who, was like so sassy. And she was like, I swear to God, if a giraffe walks through this yard right now, I'm out.
Dude, it could have been very likely.
Yeah.
Listen, anything goes. It's retreat season. So,
Seriously.
if we see a giraffe, you guys will be the first to know. I totally interrupted you. You were going to share something very important with me, and I got fired up.
I was talking about like my passion for sound therapy.
Yes,
which is like
yes, okay.
a clinical way of saying kind of like woo-woo things. Or even like, I should see if I can find it again. Like even like songs that like travel to the both sides of your ears. I don't even know what that's called.
Oh, yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. You're probably very likely candidate for ADHD. It's like 8D sound is what it's called. Or like the brown noise or the white noise, the pink noise. Well, okay, but this makes total sense if we're going to lean into the woo-woo and, sprinkle the science with the woo-woo, right? Like we are vibrational creatures. Mm-hmm. Everything is vibrational, right? And so the sound therapies really like lean into the concept of like you can heal or attune your instrument, which is your vessel, your body. You can tune it like you would tune an instrument to play with sounds, with vibrations and frequencies that affect your chakras and affect like really your wellness. It is more than just like woo-woo stuff. There really is some science behind how those frequencies and vibrations like affect our health. So, and I know that you're passionate about that, and you got your crystal bowls that you are so good at playing.
They're so good. They're right here. Look at right here. I got my nut stick.
Ow. How'd you know my nickname, girl?
That's so loud.
I'm sorry. Was that disrespectful?
Anywho.
Okay.
I like when my music, when I go to an experience and it like rattles my rib cage. Like that's the feeling that I like. So I went, my mom invited me, actually. We have this very incredibly unique art community out by where I live. Like it's a lot of like taking the elements and turning it into something you would have never imagined.
That's so cool.
I was stoked. I was like, this is gonna be good. So this artist, he's from New York, and inspired by these other huge installations that I actually went to one in Chicago randomly when I missed a flight because of traffic. But I was like, whoa, like this is the kind of art I like. You walk into a room and you like experience the art.
Ooh, like it's like something for all your senses.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you walk through it, and that's part of it. So it was called, or is called, Now Is Where We Are. And it essentially was like this artist's version of the universe. So you walk into this completely like pitch black, like no other light is leaked in, no phones, nothing, completely pitch black. And you just kind of like go in with a group. And I was kind of like, oh God.
I would love to hear the inner monologue of what you were actually thinking.
Because the trainer in me was concerned for, I was, again, the youngest person there. But if it go like that's a fall risk.
Yes.
For older people.
You're like safety. What?
You don't have like proprioception. I'm so sorry I'm laughing. So we walk in, the room is pitch black, and I'm like, well, I'm about to go be first aid to all these people.
You're just like ready to triage.
Yeah. And so they had, I can't remember, like they told us at the end how many lights, but essentially like these little LED lights, thousands of strands hanging down into the room that light up and like move around the room and kind of like do this whole light show. And you can still walk through the room and you can sit down, you can lay down. I'm like, oh my God, there's people laying down in here. We're about to trip over. So I kind of like made my way to the wall or like a corner to like sit in the corner and like look out. And the visual was incredible, but the audio was the artist essentially like speaking all the minutes, hours, days, years you spend doing things in your life. So he starts, or like, so it'll be like brushing your teeth, 1,424 hours.
Wow.
Sitting in traffic, whatever. And so kind of like these day-to-day moments that we don't think of that add up to this lifetime of moments. And then it kind of concludes with like how we're all connected. Like we're all experiencing these moments and these like times that add up where we're doing similar habits, but we think we're just like so unique and different when we're really all living very similar parallel lives. So it was super powerful. And then there was kind of like it was very loud, deafening. And so of course I loved that. Like there was some music in there and like sounds of like dogs barking and birds and like kind of sounds that you hear in your day to day too.
Right.
But the intention was explaining about like now is where we are is talking about like we're in a crisis of connection.
There it is.
And so we're disconnected from ourselves and from each other, and it's getting worse when we're really just a sum of a bunch of little things that we all do day to day. And so instead of siloing ourselves, we need to like reach out and connect with ourselves and understand that we all came from the stars. So it was
I
super
am that. I
powerful.
am. Right?
There we go. We're back. We're back with Moses.
Well, Moses and the swan. Bless.
I'm still laughing. I don't think a lot of people that listen know what AOL dial-up is. They're about to.
And as a quick sidebar, listen, there was about an entire year where that sound is the only way I would address Rachel in public.
Oh my God.
Like for no reason. I would just hit her with a ring, and like nobody in the room would know what the hell was.
Do you guys remember your AOL profile names?
Listen, it's kind of disappointing, but it was definitely Mandi Mon.
So
I've been a Mandi Mon. I've been a Mandi Mon since day one. I've been that bitch. Because my maiden name was Monticelli.
Gotcha.
So I was Mandi Mon. And I thought it was so cool because I was like, it's like Jamaican. I'm like, Mandi Mon. That's how cool I thought I was. So
I think mine was like volleyball related. I think it was like volleyballer 69.
Oh, 69.
Remember 69?
At that early of an age.
Oh, volleyballer. Ow. What was yours? J. Patty?
Mine was related to the university here, UNR Freak.
Oh, so you've been a fan. You've been a dedicated hometown guy this whole time.
I was obsessive.
See, I appreciate the consistency.
Yeah.
Volleyballer 69. I'll never call you anything else.
I'm not the only one in the room that had to talk about it in therapy.
Damn it. Dude, no, I think this is so interesting because it kind of picks up where we left off last time. We were talking about the whole conversation about TikTok and human connection and just all the ways it's like brought us together, and we were like having a whole conversation about that. Mm-hmm. And then, for you to come and share about this art experience, like, what do you think was your biggest takeaway? Like when you left from there, was it like, was it kind of like, was the point of it to like inspire people to kind of be more in the present moment? Or what do you think was like the takeaway?
I think, for me, I realized that like, when's the last time I put my phone away for an hour?
Okay.
I couldn't take pictures. I couldn't share it or anything. I just had to sit and experience it with a whole bunch of other people, just sitting around, fumbling their way through the dark. There were some people laying down and looking straight up. I thought it was kind of interesting how we were all taking it in our own way and showed up to like be moved. And the audio like kind of made me depressed briefly. No surprise. But just thinking about all the little things, because it kind of ended with like, and remember, there'll be a point when you brush your teeth for the last time, when you hug a loved one for the last time, when you leave your house for the last time, like kind of grounding you and like, we know this all ends. Yeah, so it was just like a reminder.
While you were talking, I was trying to find a quote. I can't find it, but I think that's the perfect segue to talk about, like, when we're talking about human connection and being available for that, like to be available to have the awareness of the now. Mm-hmm. Really requires so much work, healing work, right? Because I think that people really struggle with the concept of like staying in the present moment and being in the now, because we have so much pain that we're dragging around from our past, and so much fear and uncertainty of the future, and like anxiety about sort of anticipating what will happen or what's coming down the pike or whatever, that we often like waste those now moments. Mm-hmm. Like either giving the energy to the future or the past, and sort of letting the now moments pass us by. And I think that's why, like when you're hearing somebody tell you how much like of your lifetime is wasted brushing your teeth, in such like a thing that we don't think about, right? I think about some of the more like contemplative spiritual practices, or like Buddhism is one where like and please don't quote me, I'm certainly not like educated enough in the Buddhist faith to speak as an expert on anything, from little I've understood about it, it's really about like detaching from that future rumination, right? And then like the future anxiety, right? To be in the present moment with whatever you're doing, like being the beginner, having the beginner's mind at all things you're doing, right? Like if you're doing the dishes, like being really mindful of like the warmth of the water, the softness of the soap, like the fact that you have plates to wash because you have food to eat. Like it's like kind of bringing all of your awareness into whatever task you're doing in the moment, and trying to really train yourself to just like be in those moments so they're not wasted, because you're right, it accumulates. And then what? Right? And that's kind of like, it's that whole, cheesy adage of like, the past is gone and the future isn't here yet. That's why the present is called the present, because it's a gift. Right?
But you said something so interesting that made me think, because I started thinking about like in the last few weeks, because you and I have kind of like cleaned house on a lot of things and relationships and things that just don't fit where we are now anymore. I haven't been feeling lonely, but I have recognized that like I need to probably like go out and be social, not even like go out drinking, just like talk to people, have coffee with friends, like small things. And I found myself, I used to like pride myself in my ability to make friends. Like really like an expert at it. But I found myself now in this kind of new authentic self, not being a little like nervous about it, honestly.
Oh my God. Get out of my head. I'm like, we have not talked about this.
And so I was like, that's so interesting, because when I was showing up very performative and just like making friends and we're all best friends. And now that I'm actually like, this is who I am and this is exactly, there's no performance. Now it feels a little more scary for some reason.
It's naked. Well, look, I can 100%. It's funny because this is why we do this, because it always ends up being that we're like so aligned. Right. But yeah, I definitely, one of the symptoms of my growth so far this year, or even in the past couple of years, has been, you know, the more I fuck with myself, for real, the more I really look, and we talk a lot in the wellness, fitness, whatever space about like self-love and like all the things. Like it becomes so cliche sometimes when we like overuse these terms, and then it like, you know, gets used in these, you know, bigger ways, and then it kind of takes away the, I don't know, the depth of it, like the realness of it, right? But when I really talk about like self-love, the radical self-love that like, for me, fitness was a vehicle to, right? For me, it wasn't the, you know, weight loss or the fitness thing that became the prize. It was only the vehicle, which ended up in self-love and self-acceptance, making peace with myself. That is what it became for me. Fitness was just the vehicle to get there. And the more I continue to drive to that destination for real, which requires a lot of healing and sifting and sorting and releasing yourself from those past stories and memories and things that haunt us, and like learning to, you know, not forgive so much others, but like forgiving yourself for allowing XYZ, or forgiving yourself for not having the voice to XYZ. It really always ends up coming back to you. No matter who's involved or who's part of the story, right? The real work always comes back to you. And I have found that even the more I do this, the more I really show up and love myself, and not like in a Lizzo way, right? But God love Lizzo. I'm not talking shit about Lizzo. Do not come for me. I fucks with Lizzo. But I mean like for real, like you start to really nurture that like little kid version of you that was like hurt, or like maybe didn't have the protection that they needed or the guidance that they needed. You know, like when you really start doing that work and you start showing up for yourself, like as the person you wish you would have had, all that, I have found that I no longer rely on the performance Mandi that I was, you know, the so obliging, you know, I mean, you know, I still rely on humor as a survival mechanism, right? But those people who really know me know that like that's not actually who I am all the time. And the more I embrace that, the less people want to be my friend. So you talk about loneliness or being scared to put yourself out there. It's because I realize that like my authentic self is less appealing. Really, I can be kind of a fucking bummer, to be honest. If you still want to be my friend when I've gone off on all these existential crises, and you're still trying to talk to me about time travel and how nothing's real, then you're a real one.
All the time. I just thought of something, because, you know, we share our high thoughts sometimes. One of mine from a few weeks ago was...
I love these. You come up with the best ones, dude.
I have to quote myself correctly. Am I an introvert who masks as an extrovert? Because I was thinking about how difficult it is, but I realized that I'd never qualified people before. If you were a human and I was a human, we're friends. Like that's the commonality.
Ooh.
And now when I look to meet new people, I'm like, you have to fully align.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like am I about to get my heart broken? You know, like am I about to
no,
enter
I
something?
totally hear you. It's not mean girl shit. It's not like, oh, I can't be friends with you because you're not at my standard. It's not that.
Yes.
It's more of just like, okay, like I can no longer be available to like open and share my energy unless like I feel like you're going to be safe with it. Because I will not allow myself to be heartbroken and torn apart by anybody anymore. Like I just won't.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So yes, that's what I'm talking about. Like the more I like myself and love myself and really am doing that work, not just saying it, right? For the gram. Not that I ever was, but you know, it's different. Like when you really start showing up for yourself, it starts to make your outside world look a whole lot different. Mm-hmm. And I had an actual like deeper thought about this in the past couple weeks. As we talk about these things all the time, and you know, we are simply on this podcast sharing how our own healing journey is going in hopes that, you know, we got our own little band of misfits on here who listen to us and can resonate. Like we're nobody's guru. Like, nor do we recommend any gurus. Like you are your own guru, right?
Yes.
That's like my official statement on the matter, right? But what I learned that I thought was so interesting, kind of like blew up my brain a little bit, is learning to like love myself, blah, 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 which is sort of like, we talk a lot about like releasing our ego around things, like what our ego is. Like our ego is that part of us, you know, like I told you guys, I had the download that the ego is the part of me that forgets I'm God, you know, because it's the part of me that wants to like defend myself. And it's like the icky part, right? And I have found that I've been so frustrated because I find myself responding out of ego, or when I catch myself in my ego, I want to like pounce on it and like carve it out and like pull it out and throw it away. Because I like know that that's the part of me that's like creating resistance, causing me suffering, creating stories that aren't true, creating limiting beliefs that are getting in my way, right? These are like the negative aspects of me, my shadow side, right? Mm-hmm. And I realized I was putting all this effort into like figuring out how to destroy her so I could be free to be like this free Mandi that I love. And the truth is that's not healing. That is actually not healing. Like the healing journey is not about like identifying your shadow aspects or the things you're ashamed of or the things that you know, your bad habits, your bad decisions, all those things. It's not identifying those and then eradicating them.
Right.
It's actually identifying that part, that version of you that feels like they have to act like that, and finding a way to love that part of you. Mm-hmm. Finding compassion for that part of you, right? Mm-hmm. And if I can do that for myself in like the worst circumstances, because I know the worst things that I've ever done, right? Then that also like has that boomerang effect outwardly with the people around you. Like it's really not about forgiving anyone else ever but yourself, or releasing anyone else, or letting anyone else off the hook. It's always about you.
And I'm finding too, the more that I do that, like the more self-work, I mean, we've talked about this before, that this is all a mirror, right? So like if I am angry, anger will find me. Like things that, do you know what I mean? If I am calm, calm things and people and opportunities will find me. And so I'm kind of like treating this like little quest for new connections in the same way. Like if this is what I want in a person, it's kind of like how I feel like I ended up dating the person that I'm currently with.
Shout out Poopsie.
Or the round of applause button. Which one do you want?
She just got all bashful. Oh my God. Sorry. We had to take a little love moment. Okay. No, when you're journeying on your self-work.
Yes. When I'm walking around, I have to know that I'm the magnet. Mm-hmm. And if somebody comes my way, it's a reflection of my inner world, right? Mm-hmm. So if somebody comes my way and I'm like, the hell's wrong with this person? Yeah. I have to almost like then pause and like is it like question
Like
myself?
how did I kind of attract this experience? Yeah. That's tough too. That's really tough. But that's the work, right?
Yeah.
That's the sad thing. Look, you guys know I'm already going to get on a tangent about this. I feel because in a lot of ways this parallels fitness.
Yeah, it does.
It really, really does. And I feel like this is why I become insane about this topic, because everybody wants like a 3-step program. Everyone wants 6-minute abs. Okay. You just like want somebody to tell you the exact formula, the exact amount of things to eat, and the exact amount of exercise it's going to give you, like the chiseled outcome. And that's it. They don't want anything in the middle. That doesn't exist. That simply doesn't exist. Right? Because it's an inside job from the inside out. How your body shows up for you is directly correlated to how you care about it from the inside out. And how it like manifests on the outside. It's true. And the same thing spiritually. I have found that like people want capital T truths, and they want, specific guidelines and rules, and everybody believes that they have found that, and that everyone else should adhere to it, and that there is like, programs and processes, and there just simply isn't.
Yeah.
There isn't. I'm sorry. It's just like fitness. There's nothing magic to sell. It's an inside job. That's it. And anyone who is a quote unquote leader in the spiritual space or the fitness space or any space really, it ultimately comes back down to how you are navigating you. And that is how you lead people as you go. Even in the workplace, like there's a difference between somebody who's a manager or a boss, right? And somebody who's a leader. They're not always the same thing.
No.
Like somebody who is a leader is going and drudging through on their own and showing the way. They're on their journey and they're showing the way. They're not standing off to the side telling you how it's done. Do you know what I'm saying? And so I get passionate about that because really that's the only work. That's why that's all we talk about on here, is because really that's all there is. I think that especially people who've gotten to come and join us at retreats and stuff, like, think that we have kind of like maybe some secret answers or something. And we just don't, you guys. Sorry.
We got nothing.
Sorry to break it to you. We basically don't have anything figured out. But what I do know for sure, right, is that the more I trudge through and like focus on the things that I need to learn how to love about myself and learn how to let go. You said something very interesting a minute ago. You used the word qualify when you were talking about like potentially making friends. Can you tell me more about that? Like, what do you mean by qualify?
So old Rachel, like I said, anyone, come on in. We're together now. We're best friends. Now you have to earn the right to have access. Because showing up as the real me requires safety. And I can't do that if the other person can't provide that and be calm in their nervous system. I mean, I like to freak out, clearly, sometimes. But I'm coming at this with different energy because I want to attract different energy. And if I'm working on, I think we've talked about this before, like being the best or being an expert in loving myself, then out of respect for myself, I have to qualify. I can't just let any old person get close to me because I just don't have the want or capacity for it. I want it to really align with my body, mind, and soul, or I'm chill alone. I just, like I said, I'm trying to make new friends because I'm like, I should probably socialization and community is an important, we talk about this important part of health
in
real life. And so that's where the effort is from. I could be alone forever, but I think it would be best if I had
No,
some
you
good
and
people.
realizing like the empowerment of realizing you have a choice.
Yeah.
Like we're not just stuck.
Yeah.
Like I think that's been really a lesson for me is like realizing like it's okay to let go, right? Like I don't like have to hang on to relationships or situations just because like I'm related to them. Right. Or like I've been friends with them for a million years. So we got to like just keep figuring out a way to keep making this fit. Like I don't have to do that. And it's actually, it's not like I hope people understand it's not like a aggressive thing. It's not like a breakup talk with everybody like that you don't want to hang out with anymore. It's not like that. It's more of just like an organic drift, you know?
Yeah.
It's
You
allowing
outgrow friendships.
Yeah. And I feel like that's you get to a place where that's like just really healthy when you really are at a place where you, like you said, you start to respect yourself. And if you're really about it, then it becomes important to you. Mm-hmm. And I think there's something to be said for like in every spiritual journey. Like I'm thinking about Jesus being in the desert for 40 days. And you think about like, there is something to be said in like the spiritual journey for each person where there is a alone time in the desert for people. I feel like maybe this year has been more about that for me. Like I've joked with you guys about the factory and stuff, and I've been very reluctant pilgrim about it. I've just been pissed the whole time, just fully in my ego, just stomping around in my literal work boots, you know? But I'm realizing now that it has offered me so much freedom. Right. It's had such kind of like a chokehold on my time because I'm, working this like full time, like very physically demanding job that has exhausted me to do anything else but just try to be present with myself and my family, which I have been very resentful of because I'm trying to do a million things, right? Except for this has forced me freedom from all of that and really like the focus to like come and like prioritize the things that actually mean something to me and my heart, right? And I think that there is a time for silence with yourself and alone time with yourself and a time to be in the desert, to ask yourself like the hard questions and let it all come up. And so I would say for anybody out there who's like on this journey with us, we talk about this a lot. Like, what is your doing this work? And, we talk about like journaling and like all the different things, but what are some of the things that you do to connect and be in that present moment with yourself? Like you talk a lot about movement, hiking, bitch. I know you're going to say hiking, getting out in nature. Jesse's laughing. It's true.
I agree with you, Mandi.
Hiking, being out in nature. I still, the water temperature has been cold enough here to do my little ice baths and dunks. I don't do it as much as I would like to, but it's something that really helps me. I also am a solo road tripper. I think I've talked about that before. I like to go on a long drive and listen to my music and randomly cry.
Yeah. I'm a big car crier. Listen, if you hear me pull into the driveway and I don't come inside, you better leave me the fuck alone, dude. I'm going to church in there. Okay?
Same.
I am a music is religion person, so like if you hear some filthy blues coming out of my driveway, you better just leave me alone. I'm in my feelings.
Oh yeah, I got the sad playlist. I got the happy playlist. I got the be ratchet playlist.
My favorite. I feel like I don't mean to like beat a dead horse about this, but I like want to provide people with ideas for like tools they can use, because I think a lot of the time these conversations, it's like it can't be like accessible to everybody, right? Like we talk about breath work and we talk about all these things, and if you're just like not familiar with that or you don't have access, right, it can kind of start to seem like really out there. I think that's why we get the term woo-woo, right? Because some of this stuff can feel weird. Like when we talk about like maybe going to a sound bath experience or like an immersive whatever, like that is that sounds like a great time to me, but I know that could maybe be intimidating to some people, you know, when really it doesn't have to be like this big grandiose thing to like provide you with what you need to like start that inner journey, right? Like it could really be looking up like sound bowls on YouTube. There's so many thousands of videos that people have provided for free that like can give you the same exact experience in your room, right? Journaling prompts that you can find that can really start your practice. I, for one, I actually learned in my Reiki training that the Western mind is actually less apt to experience all the physical benefits of meditation that's done silently. The Western mind actually needs movement to get the same benefits of meditation as like folks who are from the Eastern side of the world can actually just really sit and like do the Zen thing because that's like in their heritage. It's in their DNA, right? To really receive and sit. And we do not have that. Like we, in Western culture, we don't. And I think sometimes people get frustrated when they're trying to meditate because they think, okay, I have to sit here and I have to like not let myself think of anything. Yeah. And if my mind starts going somewhere, I have to like yank it in. And so for like 10, 15, 20 minutes, you're like battling yourself in like a loop-de-loop and your mind's going crazy. And it's like, that's actually not helpful. That I think creates more stress and anxiety around the whole thing. And it, you know, like with exercise, right? You wouldn't suggest that somebody like day one, like do 30 burpees. Like that's crazy. So you would get frustrated. You wouldn't be able to do it. You'd give up. So I learned actually, shout out Nicole, wherever you are, Dr. Nicole. She, there was this girl who was talking about linear movement as a form of meditation. And it was like this concept of just like kind of getting like sitting on your knees, sitting on your, you know, on your butt or even on your hands and knees, like in a child's pose or whatever. And just like simply choosing one song in the morning to like allow your body to move through just fluidly. Like, I don't want to say dance because that can be intimidating to people, but just what it sounds like, linear movement, like just letting your body just flow with the sound, whichever way feels good to you until the song is over. And like that alone, that little bit of movement alone would be enough of a mind-body connection for the Western mind to experience the benefits of meditation.
Interesting.
Right?
I like that one.
Right? Or like, you know, and that's kind of nice to know that you can just like roll out of bed and like roll around a little bit. And like, that's a way you can connect. And it doesn't have to be this like ceremonial fucking, you know, like incense and whole thing. I mean, if you can do that and that feels natural to you and you have the space and the time to do that, do that. I do not. And I think a lot of the times I start to build up some like weird shame and like pressure around these different things. Like I feel like I have to do it all. Like I have to get up and do like, you know, a cold plunge and then a turmeric shot. And then I have to do some yoga and then I have to like meditate for 10 minutes. And then, but I wanted to share with you guys, I thought it would be fun as we talked, you know, so much about human connection and then going inward and blah, blah, blah. One of my favorite tools for going inward and being reflective is tarot, right? Which I talked about that last season. So actually in the morning, I pull a card for myself every day. Well, at least I try to. I try to make a practice out of pulling a card for myself and giving myself enough time to write a couple sentences about it and then let it kind of see how it shows up in my day, which is kind of fun. So I brought a couple oracle decks, which if you recall from the previous episode, there are two different kinds of tarot or decks you can use. Tarot is a specific thing that I would not recommend to beginners, right? Because it's like learning a different language. But oracle decks are a great place to start. And I thought that would be fun to encourage people out there. If you're looking for something that is like a tangible tool that can help you sort of, at least at the very least, like inspire like a journal prompt or inspire you to think about stuff differently. Cards are a really fun way to do that. And I thought it would be fun if we all pulled a card today, just, a little card. And then I thought, what if we pulled a card for our listeners, like for our listener collective, like, which I'm going to say, I have never done before, guys. I've never been like, I have a message for the collective.
Breaking a boundary right now.
I've never done it. It feels like official. So I thought it would be fun to do. So who wants to volunteer as tribute? I got 3 different cards decks here. And I'm going to put you on the spot, Jesse.
I want to get out of the way.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
I want to get this out of the way.
You want to go first?
I'm jumping in.
Okay, so I love you. Look at you, so brave. Okay, so I have 3 different card decks that I brought. I felt inspired to bring. If you know me, you know I have like a zillion. But I did bring a deck that's called the Angels and Ancestors Oracle Guide. Okay, by Kyle Gray. We can link all these in our show notes. If anybody's interested, these are some of my faves. The second deck is called Work Your Light Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. Okay.
Got it.
And then this last one, I always call this one, Rachel's going to laugh. I always call this my weird woo-woo one because honestly, I don't know where I even got this deck. And the lady who created this deck, her name is Nadine Gordon Taylor. The name of the deck is called the Heart Path Oracle. And listen, the artwork on here is amazing, but it's wild AF. Like there's like wombs and like spider webs and just like wild stuff that doesn't make sense. But the messages are super, rich.
Okay.
So these are they're kind of weird. They're kind of out there.
I'll go with the weird AF.
Okay, look at you. And so what the intention of this, just to break things up a little on the podcast. She
just knocked on it.
Don't be telling all my secrets. I got some little
I thought we needed documentary. I thought we need this documented as you go.
Okay, thank you. You're right. Jesse is our producer, and he wants you guys to know I am knocking on my deck because I'm a weirdo. So I just thought it would be fun. So an Oracle guide deck, right, just has all kinds of different messages. And I believe, like when I pull myself a card in the morning, I kind of have to just trust, even if it doesn't quite make sense or resonate, that if it doesn't today, it will at some time. And
so be patient.
Yeah. Or it also kind of like spurs me to be curious of how it could show up throughout my day. Right. Okay. So that's what I want to give an example of right now. So this isn't very deep, guys. We're not going to like delve into Jesse's like personal psyche, but we're going to pull you a card.
Yeah.
Just as I would suggest anyone who wants to take up this practice would do in the morning, and it gives you something to think about. So we'll look at the card, and then each of the card decks has a little booklet that goes with it that gives you like some insight to think about. Okay. So I'm weird, and this is how I do cards. If you remember, I'm going to ask you to choose a number between 1 and 10 for your shuffles.
Let's go.
Don't think about it too much.
3.
Boom. Thank you for sparing my fingers. Not that I'm opposed to a 10 shuffle, but gosh dang it. Your girl doesn't really have that grip strength no more.
And we want to keep podcasts under 60 minutes, so let's try.
Hey, whoa, easy. All right, I actually think one just fell out.
Does that count?
Yeah,
is that the one?
Yeah. Usually that's
usually the one that falls out.
Does that feel right to you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I kind of fell out of the crowd.
It's a jumper.
All right.
I'm all winded and shit. Okay, so what we have here, and I'll take pictures of these so we can post them on the Insta when we air this episode.
Gotcha.
But here's your card. It has looks like a woman who is blanketed with flowers and butterflies and bluebirds.
I like bluebirds.
And it says, awakening Gaia and her gentle souls, transformative and radiant love. Here, hold on to this. Just soak that in, Jesse.
Gaia.
As I read your message, okay, I'm going to look it up in the book.
I feel like that's like Mother or like Mother Earth or something.
Right? Sorry, what did it say again?
Awakening Gaia.
Yep.
And her gentle souls.
Yep, that's it. All right, here's your message. This is an amazing planetary transformation happening right now, and you are intimately connected to this process. It says you Gaia, which is another word for like Mother Earth, right? And the sleeping young girl on your card are waking up to new insights and revelation. The moons across the top are slowly revealing all of the hidden knowledge. All of the butterflies, ladybugs, bluebirds, and roses are here to comfort and assist you with love, understanding, and patience as you learn more and more. In general, like all birds, bluebirds are messengers. Wait a minute. I'm going to stop right here, and I want to point out that when Rachel, do you remember this? Rachel, when you talked about having the bird feeder, and Jesse was like, oh, hell yeah, bluebirds come to my window all the time. And I was like, oh my God, that's your spirit animal. Let me look it up. And he goes, no, don't look it up. Let me have something. Let me live.
God.
Do you remember that?
I do.
Bluebirds are messengers. You cannot make this up.
Today it's real. Today we're not insane. It's all real.
It says they are considered a sign of spring and a symbol of happiness and love. They remind us that we are here in this dimension to experience happiness and fulfillment and not get lost in life's illusions. When bluebirds show up, it is a reminder to appreciate your life and enjoy your time here. Meditate and sit quietly just to notice the beauty and love of your life. It's always been there, and you have just been asleep to its presence. Open both your inner and outer eyes and have faith that whenever you need support, it will manifest. Nothing is as it seems. Life is a dream and layers of reality. One by one, those layers are lifting, and you will understand how precious and interconnected everything is. Past, present, and future are just labels. Know that the time that you are worried about is an illusion. You are a child of Gaia, and she loves you. Let her feel your love by creating beautiful gardens, etc., etc.
It's quite ironic.
Ooh, isn't it ironic?
Don't you think?
A little too ironic. Did we just age ourselves?
A little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got real passionate there for a
No,
second. This is what always happens. I start sweating. I get loud. But do you guys remember? I don't think that we recorded that on the podcast, but one of the times we were wrapping up and Jesse, you teased me because I was trying to look up what the spiritual meaning of bluebirds were, and you were like,
that is
no.
true. Yeah. This is all true.
Oh my God, I love everything. Bless.
The more I try to fight this,
Thank you for your willingness.
I'm wrong.
That was beautiful. I appreciate you. All right,
let's move on.
Prairie,
Rachel, you're up.
You're up next. What deck do you want?
I want that same one. I like that one.
Love it. All right. I'm going to need that card back.
No.
Oh, you're going to keep it. Okay, I love it.
No.
Well, we got to throw it
He's
back.
now attached.
We got to throw it back in the mix so it's like a full deck. Okay. I hope this is
She's
as
knocking
entertaining for our audience as it is for me. All right, Rachie. Give me your number between 1 and 10.
I'm going 3 too. That was my original number that I had in my head, and Jesse actually stole it, so I'm taking it back.
Okay.
333.
Do you care? So I'm feeling like I want to pull the third card down once I shuffle. Does that feel right to you? Mm-hmm. Okay. I like you guys to have as much control over your reading as possible. Okay. Here we go. I'm getting nervous.
I have no control over this, obviously.
Yours jumped out, bitch.
Yeah.
Flew out.
Bluebirds.
Flew out.
All right, here we go. Can you see this? No, there's no trickery here. I'm your Huckleberry. 1, 2, 3.
I'm here to verify her process, and so far she's good.
Thank you. Okay, so what we've got here, it says spiritual slumber. Now is the time to wake up. Okay, and so like I said, the art on these cards is pretty wild, but I'm going to show this so she can see it. It's like there's like a girl, and she has like an alien being.
Yeah, what is that?
Inside her, holding the world, and there's like butterflies and all kinds of things. So I'm going to read what this might mean. So bear with me. You guys know I get nervous reading out loud. It's like popcorn reading in 4th grade. Super intimidating for no reason. Thanks a lot, Mrs. Voskiel. May she rest in peace wherever she is. Still looking for the page, guys. Sorry. All right, here we go. Spiritual slumber. So it says, this card you have selected depicts a woman holding the earth. Her eyes are closed. She's on the verge of waking up. Her third eye is coming to light and is releasing 8 rays. 8. Interesting. 3 monarch butterflies and 3 golden rings surround her head. A golden halo is directly behind her head with 2 very thin golden rings surrounding it. A subtle blue light is emanating from her crown chakra and traveling into the dark blue starry sky. It says a gray pyramid with 12. It's really going in depth here on what this card looks like.
This card is a lot.
It's a lot. It says the planet is turned so that Africa is directly facing the viewer as she's holding it. So when we post this, guys, you'll be able to go look at it. But it says, here's your message. The huge gray pyramid planted in the background symbolizes your journey from the earthly to the heavenly realm, otherwise known as enlightenment. The veil of forgetfulness that was put in place when you were born has lifted. It is important that you let go of anything that does not serve you and throws you off balance. Your 3 monarch butterflies represent an inner and outer makeover. Bro, you were just talking about old Rachel and new Rachel, authentic Rachel. Mm-hmm. It says they focus on health, healing, and happiness. 3 is a special number. It shows that all of your hard work will pay off in ways that you don't quite understand yet. The small figure inside the larger figure is your body elemental. It's signed up with you on this journey and is in direct connection with your higher self. Along with the butterflies, it is instrumental in aiding your self-healing process. Connect with your heart and tap into the creative flow of the universe. Meditate on your many helpers from source and then ask them to support your efforts to be the healer that you came here to be. Believe in and follow your intuition. It will always lead you to the truth. You have a great responsibility holding up the earth. Maybe it is time to allow others to help you. You are entering a time of transformation and promising new adventures. Follow your pyramid to power and illumination.
Well, I'm screwed.
Woo! I just love when the same message shows up 800 times in 8 different ways for you.
And that 3 showed up there too.
That's what I'm saying. You guys, I can't make this stuff up. This is actually happening. Jesse's here to catch me in any fuckery, and there's none.
That's right.
I am going to choose the Work Your Light deck because it's not going to require so much reading.
Okay.
I'm going to spare everyone because...
And this is for the audience, correct?
This one's actually just going to be for me because I'm not going to ask you guys to sit in a hot seat that I'm not willing to sit in.
Okay.
So I'm also going to follow your lead. I'm going to shuffle 3 times because that feels right. And I'm also going to choose the 3rd card down. And then we are going to choose a card together for the collective, which is what we've never done before. It's groundbreaking on Spill Your Guts. Let's see what kind of bullshit I'm going to have to deal with. 1, 2, 3. My card says, answer the call. What is your soul calling you to do? Cool. All right. So, answer the call. I'm going to try to read this without sounding like a jerk because I just already know. All right. I promise this is actually an enlightening and fun experience, even though I act like a dork every time. All right. So it says your guidance is divinely guided. You are being called to answer the call of your soul. It might be scary. It might not make sense. But if you trust your soul's yearnings, you will have a life beyond what your mind can possibly imagine. Answering your soul's calling is not a one-time thing, rather a lifelong dance. Deep down, you already know what you long for and what your soul yearns for. Whatever you're called to do, that is your calling. Don't overthink it. Don't wait for permission. Just say yes. Most people are waiting for a step-by-step plan before they make the first step, but intuition doesn't work like that. It takes faith and courage to answer the calls of your soul. And that's why most people don't do it, but you are not most people. You're exactly in the right place to answer your calling now. You don't need to know the whole plan, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Cool. Great. Got it. Thanks. Okay, this was my idea. Now I'm pissed. Okay, so before I pull a card for our little community, our collective community, to give everybody a little something to think about, how do you guys feel about your cards that you got? And remember, we're just being an example of how you can pull a card and use it on your journey. So, like, any little tidbits you want to share? Anything resonate?
I'm still creeped out.
Okay.
You want any more than that?
No, that sounds about right.
Yeah, touch the soul. It's a little creepy.
How about you, Rachie?
You know, now I think about it, every card that I've ever gotten just like confirms something I already knew. It's nothing like new or like a surprise.
Yes.
It's literally just like an affirmation.
Yes. That is so true. That is what I try to like explain to everybody. Like everybody thinks it's like fortune telling. It's simply not. Mm-hmm. It is truly just like showing you where you are on the hero's journey, where you are on your journey, and kind of let you pull up into a bird's eye view to see what that looks like if you continue or pivot, right? That's all tarot is confirmation, affirmation. So thank you for saying that. All right, I've decided that I'm going to use the third deck that we haven't used for our collective message. Okay. And it just feels right to do a 3 and a 3 again, right? I mean, I think everybody at home agrees. So I'm going to shuffle 3 now. Those of you who are listening, and if this does resonate, I want to hear from you. Tell us how, if you're hearing this at a certain time, it's going to be the exact perfect time you're supposed to hear it if it's for you. And I would love to hear like any insights or anything that came up as a result. And if this doesn't resonate with you, completely forget it and tune in next week for whatever dumb shit we're going to talk about then. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. We've got the Eagle card. And it says, see from a higher perspective. All right. There's a lot of birds going on all the time. Just lots of birds. All right. All right. What does Eagle have to say to us? Is it an AOL dial-up tone? I don't know. We're about to find out. Swans and bluebirds and eagles. Here we go. It says the message, look at things from a different angle, fly higher and see new possibilities. It says in animal medicine, both Native American and Celtic, the eagle draws his power and strength from the sun. He is a powerful, strong, and courageous guide who is able to see for miles. He approaches all things with intelligence, grace, and poise, and has the capacity to make a plan from a higher space before putting it into action. When the Eagle card appears in a reading, it shows that you have a real ability to take things higher and to move beyond the limitations of your ego and your selfish desires. Eagle medicine is swirling around you now, encouraging you to recognize that your views or vision may be limited at this time. Is there a chance that your own desperation, needs, or ego could be blocking you from seeing the potential in your current situation? If there are other people involved, you are being guided to see things from everyone's perspective. If you're feeling the need for something to change, how can you take the higher road? Know that if you have intentions that aren't for the highest good, it will only hold you back. Eagle medicine can help you change this. The eagle brings the energy of healing and love directly from the heart of Father Sky and invites you to do all things from a place of love.
AOL dial tone.
Listen, but think about like how powerful that is. And if you really like, if that is something that like you feel like was for you, right? And you can kind of start your day, right? Or like take time for yourself at a certain point in the day to like have a meditative practice or start doing this inner work. Like this is a really easy way to sort of like ignite some of these thoughts and ideas. Like Rachel pointed out, this is not fortune telling, you guys. This is truly like, these are cardboard cards I got off Amazon. Like there's nothing weird going on here. But energy and like our higher selves and all these like things we call woo-woo has a certain way of showing up and speaking to us when we like dial onto the right frequency and channel to listen. And so whatever that channel is for you, whether it's pulling a card for yourself in the morning or taking a moment to do a 3-minute journal or taking a walk or whatever that is, like try to set aside time for yourself at some point in your days to start filling in that cup, because that is the work, right? And all the crazy stuff we talk about all the time each week, it really does matter. These things that we do for ourselves, it shows up in the world we are all creating together. So even though it feels small, right? Like what can I do? I can't change, this thing happening in the world or that thing happening. And it does matter. How you're showing up for yourself is how you're showing up for the world. Mic drop. See you next time on Spill Your Guts.